Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Since 1926, Farm Bureau has been working to preserve Virginia farms and our rural heritage. Visit our website at vafb.com.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce the wonderful local products we enjoy. Brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Local food producers are seeking to connect with new customers in the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia. Chef Tammy Brawley shows us how to make homemade beef jerky. And we visit King William County in our monthly county agricultural close-up.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Welcome back to Real Virginia, everyone. We're coming to you this week from Riverside Produce Farm in King William County. Locally grown food products continue to remain popular with consumers, and not just in urban areas.
Since 2015, the Farm to Fork trade show has allowed Shenandoah Valley food and beverage producers to connect with buyers and businesses across Virginia, West Virginia, and the Washington market.
The Farm to Fork Affair is a local foods trade show where we invite local producers and makers from around the Shenandoah Valley to come and exhibit their products and network with other buyers and different food businesses across the state. During the pandemic, we saw a huge increase in demand for local products. When the regular grocery store shelves turned up empty, people started turning to their local producers. And one of the things that we really want to encourage as Virginia Cooperative Extension and as the Farm to Fork Affair Planning Committee, all of our partners in the Shenandoah Valley, we want to encourage the producers to still reach out to those markets, and we really want to encourage consumers and retail and wholesale buyers to still support local.
The story about Wholesome What I Know it's been around since 1964. They started one building, small poultry plant, and we have grown to many companies within the main company. We got involved with the Farm to Fork as we were looking for different outlets to put our name out there, because now we have our Old Dominion ham, that's our brand. And we actually talked to some vendors for local eggs to maybe sell in our stores. And we actually got some water contracts for the water that we bottle here for local vendors. And so it's just basically helping out your fellow neighbor, and maybe we didn't know what they produced. And so we just learned about each other.
We're going to start stocking in our retail stores a lot of the products that we've seen at that show that we don't stock in our retail stores. That event, I think for me, was just realizing that there's always room to bring more people into your business. There's always room to stock, more products. There's always a need, to bring new ideas and new products to the storefront.
And a trade show like the Farm to Fork Affair gives producers that opportunity to differentiate themselves, to have a memorable connection with a buyer. Whereas if they were trying to do it online, they might make an impression, but it's not the same as a memory and a really the foundation of an in-person, really personable relationship. Martha and Gary Lance with Cannon Hill Farm in Mount Jackson are a great example of a Farm to Fork Affair producer. They've participated for several years, and they produce all of their beef right there on their farm in Mount Jackson. And being able to find wholesale buyers to sell their product is really important.
The middleman, there's no use to make him rich. We just as well direct market to the individual. We don't have an internet, we don't have a website, so we don't advertise on them. Most of our sales are direct marketed through word of mouth. When somebody decides to purchase the beef, we give them a cut sheet. They fill the cut sheet out and we get the deposit. The meat is cut, wrapped, and frozen to their specification. All of our beef is vacuum packed. It goes in coolers, we put it in a refrigerated van, and it's shipped that way. We don't ship anything common carrier. It's all delivered personal. It's got the personal touch.
We've had some specialty food producers that have been located here for a long time, but there's still so much room for new producers to start up. And what we love to see is a local farm adding value to their farm products by producing something, whether it's producing a cheese out of the milk or making jams and jellies and pickles out of the vegetables that they're already growing.
When it's smaller like this with the products, it's more of a family. So when you come here to Wholesome Foods, okay, hey, members of my community did that, so I'm going to go there today, and we have a lady in there. Her name is Diane. We call her Mama. But we have many guests that come in. Hey, how's Mama today? Where's Mama? What's Mama fixing? So we're a family, and we hope to bring people into that family.
The Farm to Fork Affair is really open to everyone because we believe that there's a match for everyone out there. Not just the relationships to be built between local producers and local buyers, but also distributors and processing facilities and everything in between that make our local food system strong and resilient. I really am optimistic about the future of agriculture, and I'm hopeful about what that means for our small and mid-sized producers in the Valley.
The next Farm to Fork Affair is scheduled for March 2025. In the meantime, the Virginia Food and Beverage Expo, a statewide producer networking event, returns to Richmond in March 2024. Reporting from Richmond, I'm Norm Hyde.
Agriculture is Virginia's largest economic sector, and the Shenandoah Valley accounts for 37% of all agriculture sales in the Commonwealth. That's in part because of the state's top farm commodity, poultry, is centered there. The valley was also a major dairy center, but that industry has declined in recent years. Apples are still an important crop in the region as well. With so many mountain pastures, beef cattle are very popular here, along with the hay production to feed them. Corn, wheat, and other small grains are also grown here, but not at the scale seen in eastern Virginia.
Hi, today we're going to be talking about irrigation for the home garden from the ground up. Please stay tuned.
We're stronger together, especially at this difficult time. For over 90 years, we've watched our membership grow, and we're honored to be part of such a special community. Thank you to the farmers who provide for us every day. Virginia Farm Bureau is proud to serve our members, their families, and to give back to our local communities. That's the Farm Bureau way.
As gardeners gear up for spring, they might want to include some irrigation equipment on their shopping list. Chris Mullins with Virginia Cooperative Extension explains why, from the ground up.
Well, hello and welcome today. We're at the Fauquier Education Farm. We're here with Mr. Jim Hankins, the Executive Director of the farm, and we're going to be talking about irrigation. Even for the home gardener, I talk to commercial farmers all the time, Jim, how important it is to have irrigation. But for the home gardener, do you think that's important too?
Oh, absolutely. Drip irrigation, a lot of the year you don't need it. And then suddenly you do need it. It becomes a vital thing when we get long periods of time when it's dry. When you're putting out new transplants, they always want more moisture. And it's just so easy to do. Why not set it up as you're planting?
That makes perfect sense. And we're in this wonderful greenhouse, all these cucumbers, tomatoes growing, and I see you've got a system here. Looks kind of scary, a commercial system, lots of parts and pieces. Tell me about it. What do you have here?
Well, for the home gardener, the great news is that in most of your larger seed catalogs or the irrigation supply companies, they sell a garden kit, even for a small raised bed, 4 by 8 foot raised bed, that will come with all of the attachments, all the different parts that you need.
Okay.
It basically consists of drip tape, which is a lot like a soaker hose.
Okay.
Every 8 inches on this particular drip tape, there's a tiny little hole where water comes out very slowly right at the base of the plant. You don't want to spray. Overhead sprinklers are a no-no in the garden because that's an invitation for disease problems. But the drip irrigation will use far less water, and it's getting it right at the root of the plant where it needs it.
That makes sense. Very efficient delivery of water.
Yep.
So really, by using a system like this, as a home gardener, you can kind of do what the professional growers are using.
Oh, there's no reason why you really should. You know, if you want to be successful, keeping that plant as vibrant and healthy and helping it through those hot, dry days of summer, it will change your world. And it's just so easy and really affordable.
Okay. Is this something that is going to have a long life to it? Are you going to be able to take this up and use it again, or is it just a one-time use, one season?
For, you know, like in a space in here where all of my rows are the same length, I certainly can roll this drip tape up and reuse it each year. Out in the field, it becomes a little bit more difficult, but you know, if you take a little bit of reasonable care, you can get multiple years. The larger supply hose at the end, the fittings where you attach the drip to the larger supply hose, they're all reusable for many years.
Okay. And my last question, I'm wondering, will it run off a hose bib off the house or off something that you have in the yard?
Yes, absolutely. You know, this is running out of a spigot outside of the high tunnel. Your garden kit that you get from the seed catalog will have everything you need except for the hose to go from your house to the garden.
Well, Jim, would this look the same outside, not in the greenhouse, as it does in here?
Oh, absolutely. The same system. You know, we use it really extensively out in the field. I'd love to take you out and we'll take a look.
Let's go look. Well, Jim, I see what you're talking about. We're outside now, and I can see the drip tape, all the system just like inside. Works the same, right?
It does. You know, this plastic landscape fabric, which is going to reduce my weeding by about 90%. But one of the beautiful things is that rainwater can go through it and my drip irrigation can go through. We put, we put it right down the middle of two rows that are a foot apart. We hold it in with a little metal staple.
Okay.
About every 5 to 6 feet, because wind will blow this around when it doesn't have the drip running. But, you know, a couple hours running the irrigation and this landscape fabric will hold the moisture in once it gets down there.
Gotcha.
It's not evaporating right away. This system works really well.
See, I can see how this fabric will be another great mulch or another great tool for the home gardener.
And you know, the drip will work just as well on hay mulch, on cardboard,
okay,
you know, whatever kind of mulch that, you know, anything that is water permeable so that the water, once it comes out of the drip, will get down to the soil where your plants need it.
So it really does look like a good system for a home gardener.
Absolutely. It's really, really easy. Just read and follow the directions. Anybody can do that. It's affordable and it works well.
I agree. Thanks, Jim, for letting us come out and talk to you today about irrigation.
Absolutely.
Well, for more information about putting down irrigation in your home garden, contact your local county extension office and talk to a master gardener. From the Ground Up, I'm Chris Mullins. We'll see you next time.
From the Ground Up is presented with the generous advice and assistance of Virginia Cooperative Extension. Visit their website at ext.vt.edu.
Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Coming up on Heart of the Home, homemade beef jerky. We hope you'll stay with us.
Our cow, she walks into the barn and she gets milked. Milk's taken from her and put through a chiller. And that milk's taken from body temperature of a cow, which is about 102.5, and dropped to 35 degrees and put straight onto a tractor trailer. And it goes straight to the plant the next day. So most of the milk that's sitting on your store shelves is probably less than 48 hours old. And that's a pretty good testament to how efficient we are.
Plenty of Virginians enjoy beef jerky while hiking or playing outdoor sports, or even just as a treat. Chef Tammy Brawley shows us how to make this protein snack in the heart of the home.
Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen, and I'm here today to show you guys how to make a delicious snack, a beef jerky. Beef jerky is certainly something that's very edible on hikes and walks during the summer when it's nice and hot. I love doing this recipe, and we're doing it with flank steak. I'm going to show you the marinade, then I'm going to tell you about the flank steak. Well, let me back up. The flank steak actually should be put into the freezer for about 45 minutes or so, and that just firms it up enough to make you be able to slice it. It's a great, easy way to slice it. But in the meantime, let's make our marinade. I've got about a tablespoon of fresh ginger root. I did not peel the ginger. It's not necessary in this part. The recipe says to finely chop it, but I like to let my little food processor here do the trick. So we're going to add about 3 cloves of garlic, and we're going to add some fresh ginger. So we're going to add the garlic and the ginger to the food processor. All right, it's nice and finely chopped. To this, we're now going to add about a half a teaspoon or so of a fine salt. I'm not going to measure this. Half a teaspoon is not that hard to finger pinch. We are going to add a tablespoon of liquid aminos. Liquid aminos is basically a flavoring agent, and it is gluten-free, non-GMO, no MSG. It's actually vegan as well. It's it offers a soy flavor, for lack of a better word. We're going to add 1 tablespoon of that. We're going to add a tablespoon of maple syrup. And we're going to add a tablespoon of adobo sauce. Now, the recipe will call for a chipotle in an adobo sauce. They do have that in the grocery stores in your international section. I happen to make my own, and I make mine with poblanos versus roasted jalapenos. So we're going to add an adobo sauce to that. And you'll have to forgive me. I just realized that we actually need a little bit more of the coconut, of the liquid aminos. I think I need about a 1/4 cup. So that's actually 4 tablespoons. I'm going to go ahead and do 3 more. This is what happens when you think you know a recipe by heart. So now I'm going to mix that up. I also do need to add a little bit of black pepper. Again, I'm going to pinch it, maybe, half a teaspoon or so. So the marinade is done, and now we are going to remove our flank steak from the freezer. All right, so our beef has been in the freezer for about 45 minutes or so, and beef is one of Virginia's top farm commodities. Highly recommend that you try to support your local farmers and help them stay in business. And we're going to take the flank steak that we've frozen. You want to go against the grain, and you want to go about 1/8 of an inch or so slice. Now you can see how easy it's slicing based on the fact that it's been in the freezer. I actually do the same thing with bacon. When I want to dice bacon, it makes it a lot easier if you freeze it for about a half an hour. So you want a handy dandy little Ziploc bag waiting. Put your beef slices in the Ziploc bag. You want to take your delicious marinade that you've worked so hard to make. I like to use as much of that as I can. Take your little blade out. You want to be very careful taking those blades out. Pour the marinade in there. Now I'm going to seal it. Take out as much air as possible. If you roll it while you're sealing it, it makes it a lot easier. Then I'm going to come back and just massage the beef around in the marinade. And this needs to refrigerate for anywhere from 3 to 6 hours. So we'll pop it in the refrigerator and we'll come back in a couple of hours. All right, so our beef has marinated in the refrigerator for anywhere from 3 to 6 hours, depending on what your time frame is. We're going to take it out of our plastic bag. Now, we are going to be baking it in the oven on a very low temperature, as low as your oven will go. I think the recipe says 165. Some ovens only go to 170, some go below that. But you do want it in the oven for about 6 hours. So it's a very slow bake, and it's going to be dehydrated like jerky is. One of the things I do want to talk about is, yes, it is raw meat. We're not going to reuse this bag, and we're not going to reuse the marinade because it's going to bake off. But there are a couple different ways of cooking. culinary school, we learned that cooking is applying heat to something. So we're certainly going to be applying heat to this, but you could actually cook in an acid such as ceviche. Any sort of a citrus juice added to a fish, a scallop, or anything along those lines will cook it. In this case, when we do have a little bit of acid, we don't want it to overcook. If you leave it in the acid too long, hence more than 6 hours of marinade, it will become somewhat mushy. So you really don't want to go more than 6 hours. And what we're going to do is we're going to put it on a parchment-lined tray. You can also choose a rack if you'd like, a cooking rack or a cookie sheet tray. Cookie rack, I should say. We're going to place it on our sheet tray, and it's going to go in the oven for about 6 hours. We hope you'll stay with us. All right, so now our beef has been in a 165-degree oven for about 6 hours. Just to recap on the ingredients, what we've marinated that in was some fresh ginger, fresh garlic. We have some liquid aminos, which are vegan and gluten-free as well. It's kind of a soy-based flavor. We've got maple syrup, and we've got an adobo sauce and a little bit of salt and ground pepper. Marinated for about 6 hours and then into a 165-degree oven for 6 hours. I'm Chef Tammy Brawley. We hope you enjoy the beef jerky recipe. Join us next time on Heart of the Home.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com/recipes, as well as on Chef Tammy Brawley's website at greenkitchenrichmond.com.
There are 1,390,000 head of cattle and calves in Virginia as of the latest count by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Beef cattle are raised across the state, although they're more common in central and western counties. Virginia cattle producers earned more than $381 million from sales in 2021, making beef the second most valuable farm commodity in the state, behind poultry. Most beef cattle born in Virginia spend only a couple of years here before they're sold out of state to be finished and processed for meat.
Sometimes a small rural community can pack a big farm punch. Burke Moeller visits King William County in this week's County Agricultural Close-Up.
Located in Virginia's Middle Peninsula region, King William County's southern border begins near the Presley Park Barn off Route 360. It's a restored barn that illustrates the importance agriculture plays in the county. It's the first day of planting, and much like opening day of a new baseball season, there's plenty of optimism in the air. On this warm spring morning, J.M. Kelly is helping load corn seed into a planter. Kelly's great-grandfather bought this land in 1910, and the family has been farming here ever since.
We farm about 900 to 1,000 acres. We raise corn, beans, barley, rye, and straw. Straw is probably one of the biggest crop that we got right now.
Straw is the biggest cash crop for the Kelly family, and they can produce between 4,000 to 5,000 bales a day when they're in full operation. It also helps to bring in a regular income source during the spring planting season. Not far away, J.N. Mills, N for Nicholas, has been farming in King William since 1968. But his family has property in adjacent Hanover County that dates back to the 1600s.
It started with a land grant from the King of England to Nicholas Mills. And we still have about 75 acres of that original land grant that has never left the Mills family.
Mills is also a grain producer. He raises corn, soybeans, wheat, barley, and hay, as well as some beef cattle. He also has a solar energy facility on part of his property. By contrast, Luke Hallman grew up in Pennsylvania and only recently moved to King William County. He earned a degree in horticulture from Penn State and had a nursery and roadside stand in Maryland, but he chose to buy more fertile land in Virginia. He appreciates the advocacy for farming he's found in the Old Dominion, but he's also realistic about pressure from developers.
We're the next suburb to be developed outside of Hanover, and the county's kind of struggling now whether we're going to stay rural and have an agrarian background or to be developed like a suburb of Richmond. So it looks, there's a strong push to keep King William County rural and keep it in agricultural production, and I think it'll stay that way because that's what a lot of people move out here for, is they like to see the countryside and the open fields, farm fields, vineyards, and forested land. So I have a feeling it's going to stay that way, and I hope it does.
Hallman grows watermelons, cantaloupes, and tomatoes, and they have an an apiary where they collect honey. He also has a vineyard where he's growing muscadine grapes.
Muscadines are a native grape. They're native to the southeastern United States. You know, they're a lot different from the European varieties, which you'd find table grapes or wine grapes. You can find them in the woods, but these newer varieties you can eat right off the vine. They ripen all at once, and they come in black and bronze.
Hallman eventually wants to open the vineyard to U-Pick customers and also finish building a tasting room. King William County has 90 farms covering 47,456 acres. The market value of all agricultural products is $14,167,000. Crops make up the overwhelming majority of that, bringing in $12,483,000. Of that, grains are dominant, delivering $10,699,000. Livestock accounts for $1,684,000. Forestry is also a big part of King William's agriculture. 86,000 acres in the county are in land use forestry, and Charles Pierce is helping to maintain that footprint.
In February, I had a crew come in here, which is a 54-acre tract here, and I had a clear cut, which was total chip. So there's a whole lot less debris on the ground when it's chipped. And anywhere that's flat and farmable, I'm turning back into agricultural land. And the rest of it, next February, it should be reseeded back in pines.
Forestry also helps provide jobs in King William County, especially at the West Rock Paper Mill in West Point. King William County farmers are feeling the pressure of new housing and development, but they're determined to keep agriculture a prominent part of their lives for generations to come. In King William County, I'm Burke Moeller reporting.
We're so glad you could join us this week to celebrate all the bounty Virginia has to offer. From the kitchen to your home and garden to our beautiful wide open spaces, we are proud to say that this is Real Virginia. For everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a great week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
When the National FFA was founded more than 85 years ago, the world was a much simpler place.
Our country was a simpler place.
It was a time when about a quarter of all Americans were engaged in agriculture.
A time when many farms still operated without electricity. Times have changed. And agriculture has changed, offering new opportunities and careers in fields like business, education, production, and research.
That means FFA has changed too.
FFA makes a positive difference in the lives of students by developing their potential for premier leadership, personal growth, and career success through agricultural education.
We're strengthening American agriculture and providing our members with the skills needed to build healthy local communities, a strong nation, and a sustainable world.
Today, less than 2% of Americans are engaged in production agriculture, but our membership is at an all-time high. We are the next generation of agriculture.
It's our turn now.
Let's show the world what we can achieve together.
We are FFA.